KMAV AM, of course, we've renamed it KMSR in 2008, but it went on the air, KMAV AM did, on October 20th of 1967. We're talking to different people who've been involved with KMAV AM and FM over the years, because it was 40 years ago that the FM station went on the air. Right now we're talking to Rick Flacksbarth, and Rick, you guys took over. You took over ownership here in 1984.
Yes, actually moved to town late fall of '83. Had a little house on Main Avenue, and just got settled in, and then started getting acclimated to things there at the station. And then I think probably springtime was the official changeover by the FCC. So I'd say probably in that time frame anyway.
I believe was Larry Gilbertson from Iowa. Was he involved in this deal with you too?
Larry was, yes.
Yeah.
Yep, it was. Yep.
He was kind of, as Austin described it, Larry was your silent partner or something to that effect?
Right. When I left North Dakota in '81, moved down to Iowa, what I kind of refer to as my sabbatical from North Dakota. So it was Larry was actually a customer of mine, and selling him advertising, and one thing led to another, and that's how we ended up going into business together.
Kind of cool how those things work out sometimes, huh?
Sure. Yep. No, Larry and his wife Phyllis were great people, and it was one where we had a lot of fun getting the station kind of, we aimed it kind of more into the sports world, and certainly did as many ball games, very similar to you, Dan, and your family now. We kind of started that back in '84, and one of my fondest memories was the state football championship of 1984 was really that whole fall year. If I remember right, let's see, we had, I think, Hillsborough girls won the state girls basketball title that fall, and then Mayport had won the football championship against Watford City. And then we did the games out at Hughes Field, and the 9-man game was Cooperstown then, just Cooperstown. And they had won over Linton. If I remember right, the final was 14-12. And a little side note to that, many years later after I moved to Fargo, and I just happened to get a different doctor at Sanford. And I was there for my annual physical. As I'm talking to him, he said, "Hey, you didn't happen to work at the radio station in Mayville in 1984 and broadcast the 1984 Cooperstown championship game?" And I looked at him, I said, "Yeah, actually I did." He said, "Well, I was one of the players on that team for Cooperstown." So he's still my doctor today, and we get to visit a lot about, reminisce a little bit about the Lynx win over the Lions that year.
I can make an even smaller world. In 1984, I was working in Williston, and I covered Watford City, and I was at that '84 championship game as well. When Freddie Walker went wild.
Snowing before the game, and they had to wipe the bleachers off at Hughes Field, and Freddie Walker, Boom Boom Walker, kind of ran over top of the Wolves in that game, and Mayport won pretty good. It was a very, very good game for the Patriots.
Yeah, they definitely were on their game that day. They played very well.
Okay.
So in '84, when you took over, what was your original staff? Who'd you have working for you?
Oh boy, Jim Berkemeyer was helping me with the sports and sales. I think there was Joni Oslin was at the front desk. Carla Archie was at the front desk. Everett Thorson was still there. There was a couple of guys. They weren't around for real long. They came out of Fargo. Actually, they had worked at WDAY for many years. Bob Allen, and I'm trying to remember the other gentleman's name. They were there for a short time, not very long, but just a short time anyway. But those are some of the people that I remember from that first go around. So, as a small market, you usually turn over the staff on a regular basis. But we had a good, solid crew there. That was the nice thing about it. We all were trying to work for making the station sound good and do a great job on the ball games.
I believe after Jim Berkemeyer left to go to open a station in Ada, Minnesota, Brian Curtis came in to do the sports for you.
Yep, Brian came in, I think, around 1987. I'm going to say somewhere in there, 87, 88. And then when I left in 1990, Brian stuck around for a few more years before moving on to, I think the first stop after that was down to Redwood Falls. And sadly, Brian's not with us anymore, but I still keep in touch with his wife, Diana, and their 4 kids. And it's, real, heartwarming for me to have seen those kids grow up, and they've turned into such a great family and so on. But great times with both Jim and Brian.
So 1990, you were here then, and then who took over the station at that time?
At that time, I believe it was a gentleman by the name of Gordon Dexheimer had purchased the station from us, and he took it over for a short time. I don't think it was more than a couple of years, and then Jim Berkemeyer and his partners over at Ada came over, and they put it, I think it was actually off the air for a short time.
Yes, it was.
And they ended up putting it back on the air.
Crew. Yeah, we officially went back on the air on May 1st. I think in 93. We were off the air for a while we went out and rounded, got sponsors back and all that fun stuff.
Oh, sure. Yep.
So actually, I think we were on the air. I guess I didn't go on the air till May 1st. Jim and I were doing a lot of other things. And it's...
and of course, you and I have crossed paths many times, as you just mentioned, 84. And were you working out at Keys in Williston at that time?
Yes, I was, yeah.
Okay. And see, I go back, Lee was working at KDLR in Devil's Lake, and I was up in Langdon, and him and Lyle Romine used to come up and do ball games back when there was the North Central Conference. Am I naming that right?
I think so.
Right? So, the old Class A days. So, but that's, again, going back a few more years prior to that. So, but I think you spent some time in Devil's Lake as well.
Yeah, I did. Before I came here, actually, I started out in Grafton, and since I've been in North Dakota back in fall of 81, Grafton went to Williston. I was there for three years in Grafton, 2 in Williston, 7 in Devil's Lake, and now it's 24 plus right now. It'll be 25 next April here in Mayville.
25 at KMAV.
Yep, by next April. Yep, 25 years.
Congratulations on that, Dan. You and your family do a great job up there, and I know a lot of folks appreciate the sports and the effort that you guys do, game in, game out, year in, year out.
It's always fun, getting out and seeing the games, seeing people, and like you said, when you run into the kids later in life, it's kind of fun to do that too.
And that's one thing that people don't realize. It's not just the parents. Now the kids that I covered doing ball games at KMAV that have been relocated to the Fargo-Moorhead area, and I run into them now, and it's just so much fun to reminisce and visit with them as far as the games, and whether it's a Patriot or a Burrow or a Raider, a Hope Hustler, it's just fun to run into somebody like that and just visit again about some of those teams back in the mid to late 80s. And Dan, I will say this: I don't know if it was just lightning in a bottle or whatever, but I look back that we had so many great teams and championship teams back then that we were blessed with. So, it just seemed like every year we had a team that was not just in a state tournament game, but winning it. So, it was one of those that we just seemed like we were truly blessed there on Highway 200, that somehow we were always bringing home some hardware for one school or another anyway.
You're very true about that. Maybe not as many Hillsborough won the boys basketball last year, but there's year in, year out, there's usually some pretty good teams, and they usually do pretty well, and it's just amazing in this area, all the athletes that come out of here.
Mm-hmm.
Rick, for the people that are listening to us,
go ahead.
For the people listening and talking, I've kind of know where you went since you left here, but maybe kind of update people on what's been going on in your life since you left Mayville.
Well, landed for 14 years at KFGO in Fargo, and just truly enjoyed that. That was one of those things where, when I worked at KMAV, I always thought that I should have a hitman out on Larry Risset, because every farmer, talked about Larry and so on. But then, ironically, years later, I would work side by side with him, and he would become a dear friend. So, but after that, I got my real estate license, and now I'm strictly a commercial realtor in Fargo Moorhead. So, company that I work for, and blessed that not only do we do sales and leasing, but we also do our own development of property. So that keeps us busy year round.
And if people come down to Fargo for a tournament, there's a good chance they'll see you working there.
Yes, and that's been one of those things that I got a call from. You remember Ed Lockwood from your Williston days, and he came to Fargo South in 1991 and called me up at the radio station and asked me to come over, and we talked about starting a tournament committee. And back then, the rest of the state was not thinking that Fargo was a location for a state tournament. That the Imperial, Cass County, and so on. And it took us many years to finally get over that. But I'm the last original member of that committee, and this year, the Dakota Bowl, this is the 25th year of the Dakota Bowl, and we started that back in 1993. And so Ed Lockwood is retired from Fargo Public Schools. Kurt Jones is retired from West Fargo, and that leaves me as the last original member, and still going strong and still hosting many tournaments. This year, Dakota Bowl, we have state volleyball at the Fargo Dome. We'll have state wrestling, of course, and then Class A, boys and girls basketball. This year, first ever, Dan, the finals will be over at the Shack at NDSU and not at the Fargo Dome.
Oh, really?
Yep. And we're really excited about that. We think it'll be a great venue. We're hoping that it's something that will be able to turn into a regular. So we'll be using the Shack all 3 days. But come Saturday, the girls' championship game and boys' championship game will be over at the new NDSU Sanford Health Athletic Complex, SHAC. So, not to be confused with the Shack, which is a restaurant on North Broadway. But we're excited to host the first ever state tournament, basketball tournament, at the Shack facility come March.
There you go. And I know Shields Arena down there, they've had the state hockey tournament there. So you guys, once in a while, in my time in North Dakota, early days, Fargo would get the boys basketball tournament, and that was it. Now they're a full-time player. They've even had now state baseball there, so they've become a full-time player.
Well, and I shouldn't say many years ago, but probably a dozen years ago, when Jamestown had some flood issues in the spring, we had looked at hosting the baseball tournament at Newman Outdoor, and it ended up in Minot that year instead. But now we are in I'll say semi-permanent, you never know, but there's a 3-year rotation where we have Class A this in 2018, and then 2019 we'll have Class B again. So it's a 3-year rotation between Fargo at Newman Outdoor Field, Jamestown, and Mandan. And then you mentioned hockey. It's an every other year rotation now between Grand Forks and Fargo.
Yeah, that's very true too. Got to believe back in 1984, business-wise in Mayville, there was probably a few more businesses than we have now in 2017.
There are 3 hardware stores on Main Street in Mayville in 1984. I believe there were 4 grocery stores.
Wow.
And yeah, it's so true, so very, very true. And like many small towns, during my time there, the blue law was being pushed hard to get that repealed. And I remember we led a little crusade and papered up all the windows on businesses on Main Street, and had a lot of TV coverage that came in and did that. But the college was always, a great supporter of us at the radio station. Over the years, between football, basketball, and of course baseball, just has always been a great spot for the radio station to be up there covering the goings on.
Very good. I guess I haven't thrown the questions at you, Rick. Anything that you can think of that I didn't ask you about?
No, of course, my wife and I met in Mayville, and we've been married since 1986, and, we have great memories. My son was born there, and he, it's hard to believe, but he's a tax CPA with I. Bailey in Fort Collins, Colorado now, so we don't get to see him much on a regular basis, but, it's hard to think about the little kid that was born in Mayville and where he's ended up. And my daughter just recently got married, so, we've had some great things happening family-wise, but we always think about the time we spent in Mayville, Portland area, and how we just enjoyed it so much. And we still have great friends back there that we, probably don't see enough of, but try to keep in touch with, whether it's Christmas cards or Facebook or whatever. But so be it. We always think fondly of our time in Mayport and the time we spent at KMAV.
Guess I didn't get into this with Austin Kramer, but when you worked here, was KMAV AM and FM as it was for me until our family bought the station in 2008. We wanted separate, a little more separate identity. And the KMSR comes from when I worked in Sauk Center, Minnesota, which is where I met my wife. I worked at KMSR. Well, that station went dark many years ago. It was an FM anyway, but my son Craig found the call letters were available for an AM for KMSR, and that's why it's KMSR. It's kind of a throwback to my days in Sauk Center and where my wife's hometown is, and that became our AM station's call letters. So that's why the change was made.
Well, and back in 1984, if I remember right, the original FM signal was on 101.7.
Right, you're right.
And they told us that we had to move.
Because of KFGO's FM.
Moved up the dial to 105, and that's one of those things that I wasn't expecting when I first got there, but the move went well, and people maybe took a while to find the new location on the dial, but it did happen, and that's one of those things as part of the history goes. So, yep.
The ways things change, it sometimes still stays the same. Radio, obviously, you and I both know how that's changed. Back in '84, you still had turntables here and had to queue up records, and your ads were on carts. And now we've got computers.
Yeah, I don't think, we had, I think during my era there, one of the first things that we put in, which I didn't think we ever really needed, was something called a fax machine.
Yep. I hear that. I remember when I was working at the station, they put it in. I go, what do we need that for?
Yep, and then we started doing the books on a computer, a small computer, with a green matrix screen. And I was still trying to get to figure out what a floppy disk was for.
I would imagine while you were here, by 1990, the CD players came out to play your music on, too.
We did. RCA was the first record label to offer us CDs at $1 a piece. And we could buy, I think we could buy upwards of 2 of each album. And I'll never forget this. We bought, an RCA was Johnny Cash, Alabama, Elvis. And so I think I bought 2 of everything, and I thought, just in case, you hang on to an extra one, because you never know. And we did. We bought just a ton of CDs from that first shipment, and that really did change everything from the turntables and making sure that you had a good needle on the tone arm. So whole different world, and now people probably have all of that in the palm of their hand, as we call a phone.
Yeah, exactly. The old MP3.
Yes, exactly. Yep.
Yeah, who knows what'll change in another 25 years, but it's always kind of interesting. Well, Rick, we appreciate the time, and it was great to hear from you. I always enjoy talking to you, and we talked to Austin Kramer, we talked to you. I imagine we talked to Jim Berkemeyer, and I don't think I'll interview myself, but that'll bring us up to date, kind of. And we're going to try to talk to Terry Doolin and Dave Lee, because they kind of got their start here at KMAV.
Sure. Okay.
Understand. Well, Terry Doolin was a morning man, according
to visit about kind of rehash and reminisce about my time there at KMAV. Again, I always think highly of the time there, and the memories and the friendship that we have, and just loved every minute of it. So, but I'm sure we'll see you and family members at a tournament in Fargo real soon.
You bet. It's always good to see you, Rick.
All right, take care, Dan. Thank you.
Yep, talking to Rick Flacksbarth.